When we consider a marriage relationship, it is best to view marriage as a covenant relationship. This may raise questions about what a covenant is. Simply put, a covenant is a legal agreement between two parties. This description may draw up all sorts of images of lawyers and contracts. However, there are some important differences between contracts and covenants to keep in mind. While many elements of a contract and a covenant are very similar and, in some situations, the terms may be used interchangeably, there are some important differences between a contract and the biblical understanding of a covenant. A contract may be filled with all sorts of exit clauses and quid pro quo agreements. A person may be able to buy their way out of a contract. Often, a law degree is needed to draft and interpret a modern contract. A covenant, however, is much more relational. Sure, there are still elements of contract in a covenant, such as the duties and expectations of the parties involved. However, the focus of a covenant is on the relationship that is established between the parties. To help us understand what a covenant is, an examination of the biblical covenants is helpful. The first covenant found in Scripture is the Noahic covenant. This is the covenant God made with Noah and all of creation after the flood. Before the flood, God told Noah, "Look, I am about to cover the earth with a flood that will destroy every living thing that breathes. Everything on earth will die. But I will confirm my covenant with you. So enter the boat, you and your wife and your sons and their wives." But we see this anticipation of the coming salvation of Noah and his family, and the anticipation that God will make a covenant with them. Chapter 7 of Genesis describes the flood. In chapter 8, after Noah's family left the ark to set foot on the land, we see the enactment of the Noahic covenant. Starting at verse 18, we read, "So Noah, his wife, and his sons, and their wives left the boat. And all of the large and small animals and birds came out of the boat, pair by pair. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and there he sacrificed as burnt offerings the animals and birds that had been approved for that purpose. And the Lord was pleased with the aroma of the sacrifice and said to himself, I will never again curse the ground because of the human race, even though everything they think or imagine is bent toward evil from childhood. I will never again destroy all living things. As long as the earth remains, there will be planting and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night." Then God blessed Noah and his sons and told them, "Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth. All the animals of the earth, all the birds of the sky, all the small animals that scurry along the ground, and all the fish in the sea will look on you with fear and terror. I have placed them in your power. I have given them to you for food, just as I have given you grain and vegetables. But you must never eat any meat that still has the lifeblood in it. And I will require the blood of anyone who takes another person's life. If a wild animal kills a person, it must die. And anyone who murders a fellow human must die. If anyone takes a human life, that person's life will also be taken by human hands. For God made human beings in his own image. Now be fruitful and multiply, and repopulate the earth." Then God told Noah and his sons, "I hereby confirm my covenant with you, and your descendants, and with all the animals that were on the boat with you, the birds, the livestock, and all the wild animals, every living creature on earth. Yes, I am confirming my covenant with you. Never again will floodwaters kill all living creatures, never again will a flood destroy the earth." Then God said, "I am giving you a sign of my covenant with you, and with all living creatures, for all generations to come. I have placed my rainbow in the clouds. It is the sign of my covenant with you, and with all the earth. When I send clouds over the earth, the rainbow will appear in the clouds, and I will remember my covenant with you, and with all living creatures. Never again will the floodwaters destroy all life. When I see the rainbow in the clouds, I will remember the eternal covenant between God and every living creature on earth." Then God said to Noah, "Yes, this rainbow is the sign of the covenant I am confirming with all the creatures on earth." A closer look at this covenant shows that it is not simply between God and Noah, but between God and all of creation. This is clearly shown in these verses. In this covenant, a special position is given to Noah and his descendants as human beings. They are given a superior position to all of the animals who survived the flood with them. We can see this in these verses. The rights and responsibilities include the ability of mankind to eat animals, man's duty to be fruitful and multiply, and mankind's duty to not eat animals which are still alive. These are the terms of the covenant as they apply to mankind. The terms of the covenant which apply to God are that He is to never destroy all living things again by a flood. One other thing that merits observation is the fact that this covenant involves bloodshed. It is enacted with a sacrifice. This sacrifice was mentioned in chapter 8, verse 20. Here in the Noahic covenant, we see the elements of a covenant present. We see the establishment of a relationship. This relationship puts human beings as superior to other living creatures. This relationship is based on the existing relationship that humans are made in God's image. We see that rights and responsibilities of the parties involved. Now, people are allowed to eat animals, and they are to be fruitful and multiply. We also see God's duty to not destroy creation in a flood. We also see the shedding of blood to enact the covenant. These are the key elements of a covenant. It may be helpful to examine another covenant. This next covenant is known as the Mosaic covenant. While the key elements of each of the covenants found in Scripture can be identified, the key elements of the Mosaic covenant are, perhaps, the easiest to identify. The Mosaic covenant was given shortly after the Israelites left captivity in Egypt under the leadership of Moses. This covenant was given at a place called Mount Sinai, where Moses would climb the mountain to meet with God. God would be present at Mount Sinai in the form of a thick cloud. While Moses was on the mountain, the rest of the Israelites would be encamped at the base of the mountain. In chapter 19 of Exodus, we first see one of the key elements of this covenant. We see the relationship that will be established by the covenant. We see in this chapter that it says, "Then Moses climbed the mountain to appear before God. The Lord called to him from the mountain and said, 'Give these instructions to the family of Jacob. Announce it to the descendants of Israel. You have seen what I did to the Egyptians. You know how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now if you will obey me and keep my covenant, you will be my own special treasure from among all the peoples on earth, for all the earth belongs to me. And you will be my kingdom of priests, my holy nation.' This is the message you must give to the people of Israel." So Moses returned from the mountain and called together the elders of the people, and told them everything the Lord had commanded him. And all the people responded together, "We will do everything the Lord has commanded." So Moses brought the people's answer back to the Lord. The relationship that is established in the Mosaic covenant is that the nation of Israel is to become God's holy nation, His own special treasure from among all the peoples on earth. Being included in this covenantal relationship came with its duties and responsibilities, which make up the next key element of the covenant. Chapters 20 through 23 all detail the rights and responsibilities of the covenant. It is in these chapters that we find the 10 Commandments. "I am the Lord your God, who rescued you from the land of Egypt, the place of your slavery. You must not have any other god but me. You must not make for yourself an idol of any kind, or an image of anything in the heavens, or on the earth, or in the sea. You must not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God who will not tolerate your affection for any other gods. I lay the sins of the parents upon their children. The entire family is affected, even children in the 3rd and 4th generations of those who reject me. But I lavish unfailing love for 1,000 generations on those who love me and obey my commands. You must not misuse the name of the Lord your God. The Lord will not let you go unpunished if you misuse His name. Remember to observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath day of rest dedicated to the Lord your God. On that day no one in your household may do any work. This includes you, your sons and daughters, your male and female servants, your livestock, and any foreigners living among you. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and everything in them, but on the seventh day He rested. That is why the Lord blessed the Sabbath day, and set it apart as holy. Honor your father and mother. Then you will live a long, full life in the land the Lord your God is giving you. You must not murder. You must not commit adultery. You must not steal. You must not testify falsely against your neighbor. You must not covet your neighbor's house. You must not covet your neighbor's wife, male or female servant, ox or donkey, or anything else that belongs to your neighbor. It is also in these chapters that we see various commandments regulating slavery, accidents and injuries, property rights, social responsibilities. We see various commandments forbidding things such as spreading false rumors or lying as a witness. Together, these regulations outline the rights and responsibilities the nation of Israel must adhere to under the terms of the covenant. The last key element of the Mosaic covenant occurs in chapter 24. This section reads, "Then Moses went down to the people and repeated all the instructions and regulations the Lord had given him. All the people answered with one voice, 'We will do everything the Lord has commanded.' Then Moses carefully wrote down all the Lord's instructions. Early the next morning Moses got up and built an altar at the foot of the mountain. He also set up 12 pillars, one for each of the 12 tribes of Israel. Then he sent some of the young Israelite men to present burnt offerings, and to sacrifice bulls as peace offerings to the Lord. Moses drained half the blood from these animals into basins. The other half he splattered against the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read it aloud to the people. Again they all responded, 'We will do everything the Lord has commanded. We will obey.' Then Moses took the blood from the basins and splattered it over the people, declaring, 'Look, this blood confirms the covenant the Lord has made with you in giving you these instructions.'" In this passage, we see the final key element of the covenant, the shedding of blood. We see that all of the Israelites verbally confirmed the terms of the covenant prior to the blood of the sacrifice being splattered upon them. It seems that by splattering this blood, it was Moses' way of including them in the confirmation of the covenant. Moses then goes on to declare that the covenant is confirmed by the blood. It is official. It is binding. Just as we could identify the key elements in the biblical covenants, we can identify these same key elements as they pertain to the covenant of marriage. By doing so, we get a sense that marriage is serious. During the wedding ceremony, we see the first of the key elements of the marriage covenant, the rights and responsibilities of those involved. These rights and responsibilities are revealed during the vows. The vows will be recited and each party will have the opportunity to agree to the vows. In many weddings, the vows consist of phrases such as, "Do you take this man or woman to be your lawfully wedded husband or wife, in sickness and in health, for better or worse, for as long as you both shall live?" In most states, the wedding ceremony will be observed before witnesses. These witnesses will then sign the marriage certificate as a testimony to the vows that were made during the ceremony. The next key covenantal element that we observe is the establishment of a relationship. This occurs when the person officiating the wedding ceremony pronounces the couple to be husband and wife. As mentioned earlier, the focus of a covenant is on the relationship that is established by the covenant. The final key covenantal element is the enactment of the covenant by bloodshed. In the biblical covenants, this was done by means of sacrificing animals. The Davidic and the New Covenant of the New Testament are enacted by the shedding of blood by Jesus on the cross. The covenant of marriage, however, is enacted by the consummation of the marriage, which is meant to bring about the shedding of blood. As you can see, the same key elements that are present in the forming of the biblical covenants are present in the covenant of marriage. What this means is that marriages are binding. They are meant to last. If we look to the Noahic covenant as an example, the Noahic covenant is still in effect today. God is still bound by the terms of the covenant that He is not to destroy all life by a flood again. Likewise, we as human beings are still bound by such terms as being permitted to eat animals. This covenant has not changed despite the thousands and thousands of years that have passed. This covenant will not change in the thousands and thousands of years which may come. It is with this same kind of commitment that we are to treat the covenant of marriage. Please take a moment to go over the discussion questions on the worksheet for this video.